Morning, it's my second video diary, so it is really early on a Monday morning. I've just woken up, as you can see. I'm not looking terribly glamorous. What's the date? I think it's the 12th of December 2022. How am I feeling today? So yeah, with this menopause, you never really know what you're going to wake up feeling like. Flat. I don't think I'm sad, I don't think I'm happy, I think I'm just flat. So I'm not dreading the day, neither am I particularly looking forward to it. I'm just somewhere in the middle. Yesterday, yeah, it was quite difficult. I was quite tired, but I have an operation. My operation's a week today, and actually I'm really getting quite worried and dreading it, and I'm not scared about the operation or anything like that. I mean, it's just general. I'm not even scared in case I'm in pain afterwards. You should take painkillers. I'm feeling really vulnerable and quite fragile because I'll be in plaster, so I won't be able to get around. It'll be quite difficult. And I've been in plaster and on crutches before, and it's not very nice. Even something as simple as going to the toilet turns into a bit of a battle, to be honest. Basic things like washing yourself, moving around, making yourself a cup of tea. It all turns into a lot of hard work. It really has helped me to grow my empathy and understanding towards people who have disabilities and mobility issues and all kinds of things, because we just take all of that for granted, and I'm feeling really fragile about it all, about not being able to do everything I normally do. So I think that's actually weighing quite heavily on my mind, if I'm honest. I'm not worried about filling my time. There's a million and one things I can do with my time. I'm pretty good at that, actually. I'm pretty good at being a self-starter. In actual fact, I have a massive list that I've wanted to get around to that I don't seem to be able to fit in. I've got shitloads of writing I want to do. I've got some courses I want to do. I want to revamp my website. I really want to use the time to have a bit of a reflection and think about how I want stuff to be going forward. But I am feeling really vulnerable and fragile about it. And it's quite interesting, actually. The other thought that occurred to me today was, people talk about imposter syndrome a lot. I'm thinking, actually, God, I'm just looking in the video, look at the state of my hair, never mind it. It's something that I'm wondering, is it possible to actually live without? Because sometimes, a lot of times actually, people say some really nice stuff to me, in terms of, being a role model and, doing this and doing that. And my imposter syndrome definitely kicks in, because I think to myself, oh my God, they don't really know. I'm not all of those things. I'm not great at all. You're a great mum, and you're great. And I'm thinking, I'm not at all. I mean, it's very difficult. You can't be objective about yourself. So the imposter syndrome kicks in because I don't feel like a great mum a lot of the time. So particularly with my eldest son, we clash quite a lot. I know he'd hate to see it like this, but I think it's because actually we're really quite similar. But a lot of the times I find myself getting really frustrated and making assumptions that very often turn out to be wrong. And I shout too much. I do. I'm really shouty, and I don't like it at all. I get really frustrated. And, neither him nor I are squeaky clean in it. It's 6 1 half dozen the other. But I feel, so I don't feel a great mum at all. I feel like I've probably really dented him in some way, because, we fall out and I shout at him, and I think it probably feels like I'm really volatile. I wonder if my kids see me as quite volatile. I'm up and down. And I am with this menopause. I am really up and down a lot. And I think, they see that. And there's only so many times you can say, oh, it's the menopause, or it's this, or it's that. And I do try and take responsibility and apologise, but again, there's only so many times you can apologise before they just go, yeah, whatever, you'll just do it again. So, that whole imposter syndrome kicks in because when somebody tries to give you a compliment about anything, you immediately, I think, particularly in modern day, I don't know whether it's conditioning, narrative, just the way the human experience is, but you immediately go to that place of, yeah, but I'm shit at that and I did that wrong, and so it's almost impossible in a certain way to live without imposter syndrome. And it's interesting because a lot of people have it when it comes to their professional lives, and when I think back to my professional life, and even now, I never had it. I'm actually, if you can hear squeaking, it's actually my puppies playing downstairs. They are playing, they're not killing each other. I've never had it when it comes to my work. I think it's because that's more tangible and more black and white, and I know I'm either good at it or I'm not good at it. I've either done a good job or I haven't done a good job. I think my imposter syndrome comes in about me as a person, and that's quite difficult because, humility is really important. I think humility is massively important, but it's quite a nuanced thing between, being humble but actually still having faith and believing in yourself and actually allowing the imposter syndrome to creep in. So that's one random dot of a thought that came to me today. And then there was another one. So I really got into yoga, joined a really lovely place to go into. I haven't been for weeks. One reason is I'm finding it difficult to motivate myself because I know I've got my operation next week, so I'm a bit... But also, if I'm really honest with myself, I haven't been because some people picked me up there on a comment I made. I was taking the piss out of myself, actually, about my parking. And I made a comment about female drivers, which was actually taking the piss out of me. And I was really pulled up on it. And I don't know whether it was wrong or right, but it made me feel quite shit, actually. And then my ego reared up and I felt quite enraged. And it's a real dichotomy, it's a real paradox because, I was born in 71. So a lot of my, I was a real 80s child, 90s career woman. And going back, when I started my career, which is over 30 years ago now, most of the time I really was the only woman in the room. I was the first female consultant. I worked for a boutique management consultancy, and I was the first female consultant on their senior management team. A lot of my career was about being the first woman, and I never allowed my gender to define my role or my ambitions or who I was. I never ever allowed it. It just wasn't going to be on my radar. It was always about just being the best I could be. And if that meant I had to be a bit better, and to be honest, I never felt that I had to be better than my male counterparts because I was always ambitious and an overachiever. I was classic psychology project, really. And that wasn't because I honestly don't think that was because I was female. I just think that's because I'm me. But when I look at it, I lived, a huge chunk of my career being the only female, which actually I quite liked, if I'm really honest. Because I liked I even played squash for a men's team, not a women's team. A big squash player, that's how I tore my tendon for the operation I'm having next week. And I even, 99% of the time, I played squash with men. There's just something, I'm one of 4 girls, but we weren't brought up to see ourselves in any way, shape or form inferior or at a disadvantage because we were female. So therefore, we never lived our life like that. It was just not in our head. But there was this comment, and it actually really, really hurt. It really dug deep, and it really triggered me. And I was thinking, why has it triggered me so much? And I think it was the injustice and enrage of the assumptions that were made about me, because I'm thinking I've spent the last 30 years of my life, or more than that, ever since the day I've taken breath, really, showing and being an empowered female and actually walking the talk when it comes to equality. And I'm massive. I get really upset when we try and make judgments or do things because somebody's a male or female. I'm not interested in being segregated on that basis. We're all human beings. And, you know, for example, when it comes to my professional career, it's just basically who is the best person to do that job, irrelevant of their gender, their beliefs, their culture, their background, not interested. We are first and foremost human beings. And that's what I see. I see a person stood in front of me, not the rest of it. Not, you know, gender. And I just don't want to, it's just not how I see the world, wrongly or rightly. So I think it really triggered me deeply. And I think there was a real sense of injustice that I felt, because I have spent my whole life living and breathing equality. And I would hope that I've done an enormous amount for female empowerment just by turning up each and every day, being who I'm being. And I just think back to the years when, you know, I was the only female. I was the only female, and I was doing, you know, I did some pretty groundbreaking stuff. And, you know, I did push boundaries, and I still do, actually. I still do. And so I felt it was hugely unfair for people to make assumptions about who I was and what my belief systems were, and almost kind of belittling my impact on the world. Because I think, if I'm honest, and maybe this is me making an assumption, which is ironic, but I think perhaps sometimes people who don't know me might see me as a stay-at-home mum, bit of a spoiled middle-class woman who is financially dependent on a man, that same man who I chose to have 3 children with and commit my life to. And actually, I would argue I'm not financially dependent on him at all. I think we are a team, and between us, we run a home, raise a family, and earn a salary. And we do that as a team, and we split the roles between us to enable us to do that. And that is very much how we look at our position. And the way that manifests itself is that my husband does go out to work, and I run the home, look after the children, and also do a lot of other stuff like writing and volunteering and, you know, showing up in this world and hopefully shining a light on a more sustainable and better way to be. So I think that kind of what would I call it? Yeah, it was a reprimand. Really dug deep for me and felt very, very unfair, and I felt very judged, actually. And it was passive, but it was judgment. And if I'm honest, that's why I haven't been back, if I'm really, really honest with myself. So I realise these video diaries are a bit rambly. I don't know if they're going to be of help to people, but I do think it's important to capture our honest, raw truth in the moment, and this was just one way of doing it. And these are just, I don't have any script, I don't have any plan. I'm just pressing record and just recording whatever comes into my mind that I want to share. Whether I share these video diaries or not, I have absolutely no idea. So what am I going to do now? I'm actually going to, I'm going to get up and I'm going to write a list for the week of the things that I want to achieve this week that need to be achieved, with the deadline of the operation next Monday. And then that's it. Then I'll take the next best step. So the one step I'm going to take now to get some energy and try and get the day going and try and get myself going into the day is to go and write a list. Okay.